All right, picture this. It's the summer of 1969. The world is watching as Apollo 11 rockets toward the moon, a giant leap for mankind. But back on Earth, in the quiet suburbs of Fort Worth, Texas, something else was making its own giant leap, right out of the woods. The setting is Lake Worth, a place known mostly for picnics, fishing, and lazy summer afternoons. It was the kind of peaceful, unassuming spot where families would go to escape the Texas heat. A man-made reservoir surrounded by thick woods and a nature preserve called Greer Island. Nobody expected this tranquil landscape to become the backdrop for one of Texas's most bizarre and enduring monster mysteries. It was a classic case of a small town about to get a very big and very hairy surprise. The first whispers of trouble started in early July. A few scattered reports came in about something strange lurking in the shadows near the lake. But things really kicked off on a hot July night. A group of couples were parked in their cars at the edge of the woods, a popular local spot for a bit of privacy. Suddenly, their romantic evening was shattered. A massive, hairy creature, part man and part goat, launched itself out of the darkness. It landed with a thud on the roof of one of the cars, clawing and scratching at the metal before leaping off and disappearing back into the trees. The terrified witnesses sped away, leaving behind deep gouges in the car's roof and a story that would soon grip the entire city. This wasn't just a fleeting glimpse in the dark. The creature was described in chilling detail. It was said to be over 7 feet tall, covered in white fur and scales with long claws and the distinct features of a goat. Think of it as a Texan Bigfoot with a serious attitude problem. The initial witnesses, including a man named John Reichardt, were understandably shaken. They told police about this terrifying Goatman that had attacked their vehicle. Their story was so compelling and their fear so genuine that it couldn't be easily dismissed. The legend of the Lake Worth monster was officially born, and the quiet shores of the lake would never feel quite the same again. Over the next few weeks, the sightings multiplied. Dozens, then hundreds of people flocked to Lake Worth, hoping to catch a glimpse of the beast. They came armed with flashlights, cameras, and more than a little courage. One man, Jack Harris, claimed he saw the creature perched on a cliffside, a huge, shaggy silhouette against the night sky. Others reported hearing strange, high-pitched screams echoing from Greer Island. The area transformed from a peaceful retreat into a monster hunting ground. The quiet hum of cicadas was replaced by the buzz of anxious crowds and the crunch of footsteps searching for something that, by all accounts, shouldn't exist. The local press couldn't get enough of this story. It was the perfect summer blockbuster, playing out in their own backyard. The Fort Worth Star-Telegram and other local papers splashed the Goatman saga across their front pages. Reporters descended on Lake Worth, interviewing every witness they could find and publishing every spooky detail. The media coverage turned a local curiosity into a full-blown phenomenon. Suddenly, everyone in the Dallas-Fort Worth area was talking about the monster. It wasn't just a scary story told around a campfire anymore. It was news, and it was happening right now. This media frenzy fueled the public's imagination and drew even larger crowds to the lake each night. One of the most iconic pieces of evidence to emerge from this chaos was a photograph. A local man named Alan Plaster managed to snap a picture of something. The image is grainy, taken from a distance, and shows a large, white, furry shape lurking in the brush. To believers, this was the photographic proof they had been waiting for. A genuine snapshot of the Lake Worth monster. Skeptics, of course, were quick to point out that it could be anything. Media group. People debating outdoors, skeptical friends discussing photo, group looking puzzled at image, at stock, at distribute underscore equally, a person in a suit, a strangely shaped bush, or even just a clever hoax. Whatever it was, the Plaster photo became the official face of the monster, appearing in newspapers and cementing its place in the annals of cryptozoology. The public reaction was a mix of genuine fear and festival-like excitement. Armed residents formed nightly patrols, determined to protect their community or perhaps bag the beast themselves. The roads around Lake Worth became gridlocked with cars full of curious onlookers, creating a carnival atmosphere. It was a strange scene, police trying to manage traffic and disperse crowds while amateur monster hunters plunged into the woods. For many, it was the most exciting thing to ever happen in Fort Worth. The monster hunt became a community event, a shared experience that bonded people together in a bizarre mix of terror and thrilling adventure. The police were caught in the middle of it all. They had to take the initial reports seriously. investigating the deep scratches on John Reichardt's car and interviewing shaken witnesses. But as the situation escalated into a media circus, their role shifted to crowd control. They spent their nights dealing with traffic jams, trespassers on Greer Island, and the occasional prankster trying to stir up trouble. While they never officially acknowledged the existence of a monster, they couldn't deny that something had terrified several credible people and whipped the entire city into a frenzy. The summer of '69 was a long one for the Fort Worth Police Department. So what was this thing? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The theories are all over the map. The most straightforward explanation is that it was a hoax. Some people believe it was a group of local high school students who decided to pull an elaborate prank. Given the timing, the middle of summer vacation, it's not a stretch to imagine a few bored teenagers creating a costume and having some fun at the expense of the local lovers' lane. The problem with this theory is the creature's reported size and strength. Could a high school kid really jump onto a car with enough force to leave deep scratches? It seems a bit unlikely. Another popular theory points to a case of mistaken identity. The woods around Lake Worth are home to all sorts of wildlife. Could people caught in the grip of monster fever have simply misidentified a known animal? Some have suggested a large bobcat, a bear that had wandered far from its usual territory, or even a particularly large owl seen in low light. One of the more peculiar ideas was that it was a freak of nature, perhaps an escaped primate from a local zoo or private collection. This explanation tries to ground the mystery in reality, suggesting that fear and shadow can play powerful tricks on the human mind, turning a simple animal into a terrifying monster. Of course, you can't have a good monster story without a supernatural or cryptozoological angle. For true believers, the Lake Worth monster was exactly what it appeared to be, a Goatman. This taps into a rich vein of American folklore. Legends of goat-like humanoids exist in several states. There's the Pope Lick monster in Kentucky, said to lure victims onto a train trestle, and the Goatman of Prince George's County, Maryland, an axe-wielding terror born of a science experiment gone wrong. The Lake Worth monster fits neatly into this tradition of uniquely American bogeymen, creatures that haunt the fringes of civilization. A reminder that not all the woods have been tamed. Perhaps the most fascinating theory involves a local man who lived in the area. A few weeks after the sightings stopped, a newspaper article claimed the whole thing might have been caused by a man known for his eccentric behavior and unusual appearance. He was reportedly very tall and hairy, and some locals whispered that he was the monster. This theory provides a human explanation, but one that's almost as strange as the monster itself. Was it a prank that got out of hand? Or was a real person, an outcast, simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, his appearance twisted by fear and rumor into the form of a beast? Decades after that fateful summer, the story of the Lake Worth monster is far from forgotten. It has woven itself into the fabric of local Texan identity. The tale is kept alive through books, documentaries, and websites dedicated to strange phenomena. Every few years, a newspaper will run an anniversary story, interviewing the original witnesses or their descendants, and a new generation gets introduced to the legend. It's become a rite of passage for kids growing up in the Fort Worth area. A spooky local story that gives their hometown a little bit of monstrous charm. The legend is a source of civic pride, a weird piece of history that makes their corner of Texas unique. The cultural impact continues to this day. In a testament to its enduring popularity, the city of Fort Worth has embraced its famous monster. There have been local festivals and events celebrating the legend, sometimes called Goatman's Fest. These gatherings bring the community together to share stories, watch monster movies, and maybe even go on a guided monster hunt around the lake. It shows how a story that once caused genuine panic can evolve over time into a beloved piece of folklore, a quirky mascot for the city. The monster is no longer a threat, it's a celebrity. So why does this story still captivate us more than 50 years later? I think it's because it hits all the right notes for a great mystery. You've got credible eyewitnesses, a touch of physical evidence like the car scratches in the photo, and a monster that's both terrifying and strangely familiar from old myths. It happened in a specific time and place, making it feel real and grounded, not just like a fairy tale. The story exists in that perfect gray area between fact and fiction, leaving just enough room for us to wonder. It's a puzzle with missing pieces, and our imaginations can't resist trying to solve it. Ultimately, the Lake Worth monster is more than just a story about a goat man. It's a story about a community, about how rumor and fear can spread and how a legend is born. Whether it was a prankster, a misidentified animal, or something else entirely, the creature left a permanent mark on Fort Worth. It reminds us that even in our modern world, there are still dark woods and deep lakes where mysteries can hide. And it proves that sometimes the best adventures, the ones that become legends, are waiting right in our own backyard. You just have to know where to look.